This is the recording for the problems in Chapter 6 on the LIFO, FIFO, and average weighted. Okay, so here's the information for the FIFO. It just says periodic because the way we're doing this is assuming it's a periodic inventory method. I wouldn't stress over that. This is just doing the calculations for cost of goods sold and ending inventory. So here's the information we're using. We have beginning inventory amount, which would be the March 1st. Then we have 3 purchases. We have 2 sales. So when we start, first thing I'm going to do is list the different inventory acquisitions. So we have our beginning inventory, then we have the 3 purchases. So here, this is our goods available for sale. So if you remember what our our inventory formula is, it was beginning inventory plus purchases equals goods available for sale minus cost of goods sold equals ending inventory. So that's all it's showing you here. So we have a total of 11,000 units available, and the total cost of those 11,000 units is $7,705. So each of the purchases, I just did the extension on these. So in the problem, it tells us on March 5th, there is a sale of 2,300 units at $1.05 per unit. So the sales price is $2,415. So what's happening here is that I'm going to find 2,300 units to fulfill the sales order with. So I'm going to allocate those 2,300 units into the cost of goods sold column. Since this is FIFO, first in, first out, we're going to start at the top. So we're going to take the first units that we acquired and we will move those to cost of goods sold first. So those would be actually the units that are being delivered to the customer. So we're using the cost of the oldest units as the cost of the product that has been delivered. So we have 2,000 units in purchases and the beginning inventory. Those units will be moved into cost of goods sold. So those 2,000 units are gone and there will be 0 units left for ending inventory. We need an additional 300 units. So we'll put those 300 units in cost of goods sold. When I remove 300 units from this next layer of inventory, there will be 2,200 units remaining in that second layer. So between these 2 layers of inventory, we have produced or distributed to the buyers 2,300 units, and the cost is a total of $1,395. So some of them were purchased at 60 cents a bottle, some of them were purchased at 65 cents a bottle. When we move to the next screen, so the first sale was covered by these ones that are in black. Our next sale is this March 30th sale. Okay, so that's in red. So that sale was for 5,200 liter bottles. Okay. So we now need to continue. So now we're continuing to go downward. So I have 2,200 units remaining of those bottles that were purchased at 65 cents. So I'll take those 2,200 bottles and now there's none of those left. So I've got 2,200 of the 5,200. I need 3,000 more. So I'll take 3,000 from the next layer. If I remove 3,000 from the 4,000 units I acquired in the next purchase, there's 1,000 left. So here's the 3,000 units. So 2,200 plus 3,000 is 5,200. So these units are made up of 2,200 that were purchased at 65 cents, 3,000 that were purchased at 72 cents. Okay, so that's how these were composed. So all of the units that were acquired at 65 cents are gone. Of the units that were acquired at 72 cents, there's 1,000 left, and we haven't touched the units that were acquired at 80 cents. So on the next page, what I've done is these units remaining that we paid 72 cents, that gets carried over to ending inventory. And these ones that were acquired on March 20th, all of those units are still sitting in inventory. So those all get carried over here into ending inventory. So what we want to do is add these up. So we sold 7,500 units, and this is the sales price. Okay, so remember, this is the sales price. So if we want to figure out gross profit, we have to take this selling price and subtract this amount here, because that is the cost of the goods sold. Now this 11,000 units, which is our goods available for sale, okay, that has to be distributed between our cost of goods sold and our ending inventory. It can either go to one or the other. So this 7,500 plus this 3,500 together should equal 11,000. So that's your check. 7,500 plus 3,500 should be 11,000. And likewise, this 2,720 plus this 4,985 should be equal to the $7,705, because this total amount we paid to acquire our inventory can be split, or is split, between our cost of goods sold here and our ending inventory. So those two have to add up together to equal the total amount we paid for the inventory. So we're merely totaling our cost of goods sold, units and dollars, and totaling our ending inventory, which is what's left, units and dollars. Okay, and we have a self-checking system here. When we move on to the next problem, so same set of information, now we're doing LIFO. So again, we're sitting up, here's our list of all our information. When we start, we have 11,000 units, $7,705. Our first sale, March 5th. Now LIFO, last in, first out. So we're starting at the bottom and working our way up. So our first sale will list at the bottom, and we're going to work our way up. So 2,300 units are sold. So our cost of goods sold, the 2,300 units. Well, we have 2,500. So we're going to take 2,300 of those and put them in cost of goods sold. That means we have 200 left here. So when we move on to the next transaction, now we have it March 30th. We've got 5,200 units that are sold. So we're going to use up this 200. So this is now 0. So we've got 200 here. So we've got 5,000 left that we have to cover from here. Okay, so we've got 2,000 plus 4,000 plus 1,000. So that's 5,200. Sorry, this should be green. So that's 1,000 plus 4,000 is 5,000 plus 2,000 is 5,200. So this whole 4,000 here is now going into cost of goods sold, which is why this is 0. We need 1,000 more units. So if we take the 1,000 out of here, there's 1,500 of these units left. So after this 1,000 has been consumed in cost of goods sold, there's 1,500 left sitting in ending inventory. So if we continue on, the 1,500's here, we haven't touched this, so that's sitting in ending inventory. And again, when we total everything up, we end up with the 3,500 units in ending inventory plus 7,500 in the cost of goods sold is equal to the 11,000 units that we had in goods available for sale. Okay, so this is what we had available. It gets split between what was sold and what is sitting in ending inventory. Our distribution of costs, we have $7,705. 5,530 end up being in the cost, and 2,175 end up being in the ending inventory. So this plus this is equal to the 7,705. So it has to be split between these two places. Okay, so that's our last in, first out. So remember, last in, first out, you're starting at the bottom, working your way out. First in, first out, we start at the top and work our way in. Now, average cost, so we're going to take the weighted average. So it's important that we first work everything out. So we have to do this extension. So we have 11,000 units, total value of 7,705. So here's the equation. This gives us a per unit cost of 70.045. So usually they go to 3 decimal places. So if we use 3 decimal places, it's 70 cents. So if we sold 7,500 units, so if we look at the sales that took place, we had those 2 sales. I just didn't put the information in here, but it was 7,500 units. So the cost of goods sold are going to be based on 7,500 units. So we'll use that 70 cents per unit. That gives us $5,250. So we would have remaining, as we did in the others, $3,500 because, 3,500 units, because if we have 11,000 units to begin with and we've sold 7,500, there have to be 3,500 left. So if those 3,500 that are left have a cost of 70 cents each, that should be $2,450. Now, I said before that I really do not recommend just taking the total amount and subtracting the cost of goods sold, because if your cost of goods sold is wrong, your ending inventory will be wrong. In the case of average method, it's okay to do that because there could be a rounding error. So when I do the calculation, I get 2,450, and when I do this subtraction, I get 2,455. Either of these I would mark as correct, and the reason it's different is because you can see it's really 70 cents and 0.045 cents. So it's less than 1/100th of a cent. I mean, it's 4/100ths of a cent difference, and so that over a number of thousands of units adds up to something. So there's a $5 difference, which is due to rounding over the 11,000 units we have. So normally what they would do, they would end up using this 24.55, and they would then just recalculate the per unit price, and it would end up coming out to be 70.1 cents per unit in the next period. Again, either one of these is fine. It's such a minor amount of money when we're talking about $5,250 as the cost of goods sold. So 2,550 versus 5,255 is just not material. So they don't really worry about that difference.